Great. So this month of July, we are talking about a topic that is very close to my heart. And why it's close to my heart, I think I've talked about it in previous episodes. It's mental health. And I talk about it because it's a struggle that a lot of the youth are having in this day and age. It's because of either the environment that people are in or situations that people find themselves in. And, no one ever wants to be in this space, mental health illness or any kind of illness. No one wants to experience that, but then it happens. And that's why I believe having conversations about this particular topic, because it's quite rampant right now in this day and age, I think it's important because we need to be educated, first of all, on what mental health illness is all about and how we can navigate through it, how we can rise above it, how we can get healing and move forward with our lives. Because with mental health illness, most of the time it decapitates us. Like, you cannot even do anything because your mind is the one that is getting attacked. Your mind is the most powerful tool, and it's the one getting attacked. So talking about it, having conversations about it with different people, it's very important to me, very, very important. And that's why I'm having this conversation today with my guest. We met at a forum, which she will talk about because she's the one who curated it. And I thought, why not have this conversation with this particular lady? Because she has a lot more insight. She's very passionate about talking about this topic. And let's first get to know our guest today. Please introduce yourself, and then we'll get right on to it.
Hi, Rahel. Thank you. Yeah, like you said, this is a topic we're passionate about, and my name is Eva Le Paracour, and I'm an inner healing, or in brackets, emotional wellness and leadership coach. And so where we met was one of the workshops. I can't remember which one. I think it was a vision boarding.
Yes.
It may have been the first one for you.
Yeah.
So that was our vision boarding and inner healing workshop. And so basically most of the workshops I do, in fact, all of the workshops I do, inner healing must come in because it's something I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
So we met, and then we had several others after, because people have been going through a lot. And so even when I was like, let's do a vision boarding workshop, I have, in my heart, I was like, people have been through a lot in the last 3 years, 4 years. And then, of course, you have your life history. So to go forward with a vision, you need healing. So that's where we met. That's what I do with most of the workshops. I run a space called Healing Spaces, and I coach one-on-one and group coaching, which is part of what you were in. So what I do, which is part of what we're talking about, I hold space. That is all I do. I hold space. I'm not a therapist or a psychologist. I don't have great big answers for you. I hold space for you to be able to have a conversation with yourself, and if you choose to, with your creator. And I just hold space. And so usually, as you notice, most of the sessions are in pristine, quiet environments, usually because our environments are very busy. They don't facilitate healing usually, whether it's at work or even at home. So that's what we do. We just hold space for you when you come in. And with the mental wellness linked to emotional wellness, in that holding of space, the conversation can begin with what I call your inner world, which is your soul. And then we begin to process stuff as per the space, because there's a lot of stuff that's happened to us, right? So yeah, that's the intro.
Yeah.
I feel like I've already gone into the discussion. I'm like, yeah, I'll give it back to you.
Yeah. And I mean, let me just go back some few steps. Your name, Le Paracour, what does it mean? Like, it's so unique. What does your name mean?
such a good question. I don't know what it means. I know my middle names. I don't know what the family name means. It's like
Yeah.
I feel like I need to go on an adventure. Maybe someone can help me figure it out. I don't have an answer for that. So I know
Yeah.
my middle names. Yeah, because I have like 5 names. So yeah, I actually don't know. Maybe someone in the audience can help me figure it out from the
Yeah.
outside side.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. But it's important to know the meaning of your name, because I believe the meaning of your name
Yes.
actually shapes your life, and shapes your purpose, even part of your purpose. Yeah, so you've talked about what you do, and it's really interesting. But let me ask, how did you get into it? Because I believe this is your purpose. This is your life's mission, or one of your life's mission. So how did you get into it? Is there a backstory behind it? Is there a specific challenge that you experienced that made you get into this space? How did you get into it?
Yeah, there's always a backstory, isn't there? There's always
Yeah.
a path to becoming. And so I guess mine started in my adolescent days, like around 12, 13, probably around puberty. I can't really pinpoint exactly where, but like I had this switch come on and my body changed. I went from energetic child running around, being a child, to extremely fatigued, not able to sleep at night. And that continued all through my high school days. And so I had an undiagnosed sleep disorder, which created a lot of stress and a lot of trauma in my life. The specific sleep disorder I had was narcolepsy, which in summary of it meant that, and I had it with insomnia. So basically I didn't sleep at night. And then during the days, I just really struggled. So I was just on survival mode all through those years. And honestly, I think I only passed by the grace of God. I only passed my exams and did life by the grace of God, honestly. Because it seems things were falling apart. And so then went off to uni, went to uni to the UK, and the city I was in had a sleep center. And I got diagnosed at the time with that. And then I was like, great, okay, at least I know I was not crazy or lazy or this or that or whatever, there's some understanding. But I also knew, especially growing up in a Christian background and being in touch with what's happening with your spirit, even though I didn't understand it fully, I knew that this is not my best self. There's something that's happened, or there's something interfering and creating this symptom and this dis-ease in my body. And so anyway, when you're diagnosed with something, whatever it is the doctor says, you're just like handed a bag of pills and it's like, go on, no cure, just do life,
Yeah.
And you're like, thanks. So that was it, and I remember I popped a pill the first time, and it was great because I was fully alert, fully awake. For that one time, I was like, oh my gosh, what do people do when they're fully alert and fully awake? Because I just did life like zombie like. And then further on, the pills came with headaches and migraines. And so I was getting a bag of pills and then also a bag of painkillers. And then also the insomnia didn't stop. So I was just like this little hamster on a wheel, just going like, oh my God, So I had to press pause on that. And this is where I guess I had to really reconnect with who created me, how did you create me, what is happening? And so that conversation began. But I did life throughout the pill. Lies are not helping me. I just had to have coping mechanisms. So I have a lot of grace for people who've been on that journey. And generally, just most people are going through, we know the phrase, everyone's fighting a battle you don't know of, so be kind. So I just learned that. And I started to see it in others and spot it in others where people are hurting, where I just, because the radar increased in me. So fast forward, did corporate life, climbed up the ladder, because you do life, you have your coping mechanisms. They would change in different ways. I'd go away at lunchtime and rest and then come back refreshed, or just there's so many strategies and coping mechanisms to things everyone has, whether it's pain or lack of sleep or whatever it is, or depression. And then I was relatively okay for a while. Some things dropped off. And I believe that was a spiritual journey I went on. And so the diagnosis was, you will always have a sleepy existence. That's what they say. You'll have drowsiness all your life. You'll never have full rest. And they actually say your body can't regulate sleep and wake cycles. It's a neurological thing. And I'm like, okay, I need to have a conversation with God about this. So on that spiritual journey of finding out what's happening in me, and actually some of the symptoms fell off. And for anyone who wants to talk about them, we can sidebar, and because there are just many crazy things with the so-called disorder, and it's real, it's there. And then so in this journey I've always been going back to, how did you create me? Why is this happening? And I guess fast forward the story to maybe 6 years ago, when I left the corporate world. I had to go on another spiritual journey for like 3 years, because I had burnout, and the depression set in, and then the things that I thought had fallen off felt like they came back, and I'm like, wait, we overcame this. Why am I having like such horrible fatigue, which is basically like chronic fatigue, and then the sleep completely diminished. Back then I said, okay, so I'm like, okay, so we had that conversation again. I'm like, what's happening in my body? And I felt to press pause, pack my bags, and go away, because I was crumbling to a level that I knew, and probably my mom was privy to it as well. But people just look at you and think you're fine, but you're in a circle, and those who walk with you can see the brokenness. And I mean, to some level also, not everyone needs to know your brokenness because you need to do life. So there's such a fine balance between, collapsing in front of you, oh, a huge mess, to let's do life and just move on. And so I guess that turnaround time for me was when I just began to shut down. Was struggling to get to work because I can't drive long distances because I'm just so fatigued, and the body is like, if you put me in a car, I am going to shut down because I've not rested. So if we're resting in traffic, it means, oh, it's time to rest. I'm like, no, it's not time to rest. So I packed my bags and went off to a healing ministry. And I guess that is part of, if I can just loop in for anyone who's going through a season where you're like, I'm going through so much pain internally, and I need to find a solution. Pressing pause is really important, because if you don't listen to the signals inside that the body is sending you, you'll reach a point where your body will take over, because it produces shutdown. And for anyone who's been through burnout is extremely expensive. You wouldn't be able to get to work. I think people don't understand what burnout or severe depression are. You're like, oh, I'm feeling depressed. I'm like, I don't think you understand. like you are incapacitated. You cannot function. So my passion is to stop you from getting there. Like, just press pause for a minute, because if you give a voice to your inner world, like give just dare to do that in a safe space. I know those safe spaces are hard to find, because sometimes it's not your relatives, because they don't understand. They love you, but they don't understand what's happening. And then sometimes it's not the counselor, because they're just putting a patch on there, or sometimes it's not church. You're not grown up in church. They understand. They're just like, praying will be okay, and I'm just like, but honestly, God is so faithful. If you press the pause button and dare to be like, okay, show me the right path, and I'll take it. And I think we all get to that point where we're like, it's so dark. You're like, I need to find a path that has light in it, and it's not a train coming at me. So once you find that path, And then it's blind faith. It's like just taking the step towards the light. You're like, okay, I found a place. I searched, I waited, and I said, okay, and I need help. Where am I going? And I was not finding the help within, not even within the country. Like I was just like, what is it you're telling me to do? And I remember this girl who came to visit, and we'd always have these sessions about prayer and connecting, and just girls who are just doing life together. And she'd moved back to the UK, and she said, Eva, you need to go away. I was like, oh, we don't do that in Kenya. Like, we just don't go away. Like, we have jobs. We don't have like temporary jobs in Kenya where you're like, oh, I'm just gonna do 6 months and then I'm gonna go away.
Yeah.
And she said, you need to go away. They have a 9-week school. Just go away and become, and I was like, yeah, that doesn't work. But immediately I logged onto the school, and they're called LL Ministries. And I looked at it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is where I need to be. And I think that's the first time I really felt within myself, because I believe we're body, soul, and spirit. I feel like that's maybe the second time at the time I felt my spirit, but like, this is where we need to go.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, now that was, okay, how do we get there? And so that was the journey. So that's how I ended up getting to this space where they do a lot of like, whole space for you to fall apart, and then you start building on a firm foundation, and so you process what's happening in your soul, the unforgiveness, the bitterness, trauma, wounding, lies you've believed, limiting beliefs that have just become strongholds and mindsets that are limiting you from moving forward. So you go through all that for a year, and then you also learn how to help others. And so I did that for the year, and then I was like, I feel like I need some more time. I did another 2 years in Australia of that, in their Sydney branch, working there. So that's it. Then I came back home, and then I felt I'm not going to the corporate world. I'm not doing the typical 9 to 5. I'm like, oh, great. I was looking forward to a salary, but everything in me was like, you need to build this space for others. And that's how Healing Spaces was born. And that's what we've been working on. Yeah,
wow.
Sorry.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Such a great story, but emanating from pain. And sometimes, and I know this is cliche and it's said a lot of times, out of our pain, that's where that's where we get our purpose. So purpose comes out of pain. So your journey is really interesting, and I'm really sorry you went through that. But I know right now you can actually see the silver lining behind all that you went through. And the fact that you're helping other people is quite, it's an amazing thing. And I'm really glad that we met through this particular space that you have created. And I know a lot of men and women are actually finding healing as you help them to navigate through these challenges that they are experiencing. Yeah. So mental health right now in this day and age, it's become a thing. Like every corner that you turn or every news story, you'll always hear either someone has taken their life, or someone has been, decapitated, or they've ended up going to a facility where they needed to obviously, just stand down and figure out their mental space and their mental health. And it's become so rampant right now for the youth. And sometimes I just sit back and I wonder, how comes it's really, really a thing right now? Is it because of the internet? Is it because the way the world is changing? Is it because of, comparing yourself to other people? I know for some people, life starts, at a very interesting space, like you leave school and you end up getting this white collar job that is really amazing. But then for some people, it's different. So I don't know if it's comparison that is killing a lot of the youth. Is it the internet that is killing, social media? Is it social media? And there are a lot of people who have their own opinions about this. But as Eva, what do you think is making the youth of today experience a lot of these mental health challenges?